Hey guys, this is James with RogueDuelist Trade, and on this channel we talk about current and upcoming Yu-Gi-Oh product and whether or not you should invest your money in order to profit. We are very close to the release of our next core set, which is Blazing Vortex, coming in early February. On this video, we now have all the information we need to make an updated risk analysis on whether or not to invest in Blazing Vortex as a vendor. Before we jump into the video, I started a partnership with a company called Shipping Shield, and they are the only cardboard top loader alternative in the market for trading cards. Not only are they eco-friendly, can fit up to 10 cards in an envelope, are lighter than plastic top loaders, but they are also significantly cheaper. Now, if you guys haven't seen my video on why not to buy plastic top loaders, you can see a link popping above my head right now. But as widely requested by you guys, I opened up pre-orders for Shipping Shields on RogueDuelistTrade.com. They should be available by end of March 2021. If you guys want to secure your Shipping Shields at a pre-sale discount plus 5% off with RDT 5, go to RogueDuelistTrade.com/shop. Also, if you guys want to get Yu-Gi-Oh product at near wholesale rates, you guys should highly consider the RDT Patreon in partnership with ProPlay Games. Currently, we're able to get you guys product like Ancient Guardians and Lightning Overdrive as low as $630 per case. Pre-orders are always available roughly 3 months before product release. And lastly, if you guys want to see different Yu-Gi-Oh content from me, such as Yu-Gi-Oh skits, deck profiles, and combo tutorials, go check out my second channel, which is RogueDuelist TV. Without further ado, let's go into our last and final risk analysis on whether or not to invest in Blazing Vortex. OTS launch for this product is February 4th, 2021. Market launch is going to be February 5th, 2021. Always keep in mind, anything prior to the 5th is going to be considered pre-sales. Anything after would be the official market launch, where prices tend to go down rather significantly after the pre-sale window. So always keep that in mind. As for all core sets, it's a 100 card set with 5 Starlight Rares, 10 Secret Rares, 14 Ultra Rares, 26 Supers, and 50 Commons. Here are all the different archetypes that are getting support in this product. Feel free to pause the screen if you would like to breeze through that real quick. All right, guys, we're going to go over our first metric for this risk analysis, which is free agents semi-generic. So if you guys are not familiar with what these metrics mean, you can find definitions down in the description below, but they should be fairly straightforward. Here are all the cards that I have identified as being free agent semi-generic cards that may have a level of demand. So we're going to go ahead and kick off this analysis by going over Pot of Prosperity, and this is probably going to be the chase card in this product, being a potential 3 of in really any type of deck strategy in Yu-Gi-Oh. Having cards that can be generically used and help the consistency of your deck are always great cards to keep your eye on, because the demand is so high with any player being able to play this as a 3 of. You can banish up to 3 to 6 cards from your extra deck, and you get to choose, which is very huge, and then you can draw up to 3 to 6 cards from the top of your deck based on how many cards you banish. Add one of those cards to your hand, and then put the other cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. Drawbacks is that in battle phase, you have to take half the battle damage to your opponent for that turn, and you cannot use any other type of drawing card effects, whether before or after the activation of Pot of Prosperity. This card lets you dig into 6 cards on top of your deck, makes your deck far more consistent. Underworld Goddess of the Closed World is our new boss Link monster. It is a Link 5, but you are able to use 1 monster on your opponent's side of the field as one of the Link materials to go into this card. It does require at least 4 monsters to use to link up, which does require a lot of your resources. When this card drops on the field, you can negate all monster effects on your opponent's side of the field, which is actually pretty crazy, especially if you couple this card with a card like IP Masquerena, which can allow you to link summon on your opponent's turn. This card is unaffected by your opponent's activated effects, except for cards that target. And lastly, once per turn as a quick effect, if your opponent activates an effect that allows them to special summon monster or monsters from the graveyard, you can negate that activation. It's a very good card. It does require a lot of resources, so although this is semi-generic and can be used really in any deck, there's only going to be a handful of decks that are going to be able to use this. Underdog is a new TCG exclusive Floodgate trap card that was being teased in the marketing from Konami. Depending on the turn player's turn, if it's your turn, your opponent cannot activate face-up monster effects. If it's your opponent's turn, you cannot activate face-up monster effects. Although it is a free agent, it can only be played in specific strategies where the negative side of this card does not affect your deck that greatly. Heavenly Zephyr Maradora is a new hand trap. If your opponent special summons a monster with 2,000 or more attack from their extra deck, you can special summon this card from your hand. If you do that, you can negate the effects of a face-up monster special summon from the extra deck on your opponent's side of the field, only while this card is face-up on the field. I think there's better cards to play instead of this. Like, I don't know why you would want want to play this over impermanence. I'm sure there might be a reason, maybe because it's a Dragon Wind monster. Next is probably a favorite of mine, which is called Triphasic Delman Cordius, and this is not the final name. This is kind of a rough translation from German. This is a TCG exclusive, and it is a fusion card, and the reason why I like this card is because this could be an amazing super poly target depending on the meta and future metas to come. So this card requires one Synchro monster, one Xyz monster, and one Link monster. This card simply existing will basically determine the type of boards that people will build moving forward, because if you have all three of these different types of monsters on the field, Super Poly is a great card for your opponent to side in. This card's potential can go up to 6,000 attack, could potentially clear off your opponent's field and add a spell or trap from your graveyard to your hand. If you can Super Poly your opponent, you're basically going to really punish them and likely end the game if you get this guy on the field. Now these cards are almost honorable mentions, and the reason why is because they came as super rares, and coming as super rares means the ratios are very high, where if you buy a case of this as a vendor, you're going to be seeing a ton of these. Overall, I am scoring Free Agent semi-generic as a 3. I feel this is kind of mediocre. Pot of Prosperity is probably one of the better cards that we're going to be seeing that can be played in virtually any deck, and I think there's a lot of other cards like the Link 5 monster and other cards that are a bit more conditional to where they are very good and will likely see play in the meta, but are not generic enough, which means the demand may not be that high. Our next metric is new archetypes. In Blazing Vortex, we're going to be getting Security Force, or in the TCG it's called S-Force, War Rock, and Sprigguns, which in the TCG it's called Springguns. And just to be clear, I am only going to be going over the higher rarity cards within these archetypes because those are the cards that have the highest possibility of being higher value. S-Force is actually taking the majority of the secret and ultra rare slots as an archetype as a whole. So we'll start with S-Force Rappa Kyomeru, and this card is pretty nuts because if you have it on the field, you can send it back to your hand and banish an S-card monster from your hand to special summon an S-Force monster directly from your deck to the field. This card is coming as a secret rare, and I feel that's very justified. And also note that it is a Rhoda target, being a warrior. The next secret rare for S-Force is the field spell S-Force Bridgehead. So on activation, you can search a Security Force monster from your deck to your hand. You really care about this card for its searching effect. Next is the boss monster coming as an ultra rare, which is S-Force Justify. Now the great effect for this card, as a quick effect, you can negate the effects of one monster on your opponent's side of the field until the end of the turn. And on top of that, you can move that opponent's monster to a link marker that S-Force Justify points to. And the reason why you want to do that is at the start of the damage step, if this card attacks, you can banish all monsters this card points to. Next is Security Force Gravitino, and which kind of looks like the elemental hero Stratos of the archetype, coming as an ultra rare. And exactly like Stratos, if this card is normal or special summon, you can add an S-Force card from your deck to your hand, which does mean you can search outside of just monsters. So I think a great 2-card combo would be having Kyomeru on the field, banishing Gravitino, sending Kyomeru back to your hand, and then special summoning our next card, S-Force Platina. Kyomeru can let you special summon this card from your deck. When this card is normal or special summon, you can special summon one S-Force monster from your banish zone onto the field. So if you did banish Gravitino, you can then special summon your Gravitino using Platina's effect by then being able to search an S4 card from your deck to your hand. The next archetype we're going to quickly go over is War Rock, which is a TCG exclusive archetype, and I'll tell you guys right now, this is a very underwhelming archetype. Taking away one of our secret rare slots in this product is going to be War Rock Mountain. Being a field spell, when this card is activated, you can add one War Rock monster from your deck to your hand. Now, an added effect that's actually nice to have is at the start of your battle phase, if you control no monsters, or if you only control warrior monsters on your side of the field, you can special summon a War Rock monster from your hand to the field. War Rock Basileos is basically the boss monster in the archetype. One of its effects is a quick effect. If an Earth Warrior monster battles, this card is able to attack your opponent directly that turn. Also, all War Rock monsters gain 200 attack until the end of your opponent's turn. And that has another extending ability to where if a Earth Warrior monster were to be destroyed on your side of the field, you can special summon this card from your hand or graveyard. So as you guys can see, for the two higher rarity cards, fairly underwhelming. Obviously, the field spell could be pretty good if we get much better War Rock monsters in the future. Springans, we're only getting one higher rarity card in Blazing Vortex, which is Springan Ship Explorer. So it's very easy to attach Xyz materials to this card, and based on how many materials you detach, you can choose one zone on your opponent's side of the field and destroy all cards either on the top, bottom, or adjacent sides, or even the zone you selected. So up to 5 cards you can destroy based on how many materials you detach. Another strong effect, as a quick effect during your opponent's main phase or battle phase, you can banish this card until the end of the turn. So I am scoring new archetypes as a 3, and the reason why is that I do feel there's a level of potential. I think Springans could see some type of meta play maybe in the future. The same with S-Force. I guess with S-Force and with Springans is that it doesn't lock you into any type of archetype, so they are fairly splashable, which is why I graded it as a 3. Our next metric is going to be legacy support. So here are some quick honorable mentions, and the reason why they're honorable mentions is the majority of these cards, like Metal Foes, Tri-Brigade, and Virtual World, are coming as low rarity, super rares, or commons. And the other honorable mentions are the Wind Witch cards, but the only thing is I just don't think these cards are good at all, and they're taking up ultra rare spots, both Wind Witch Freeze Bell and Wind Witch Diamond Bell. The top archetypes in terms of potential competitiveness or just getting higher rarity in general are Armed Dragons, Eldritch, Live Twin, and Dual Avatar. The legacy archetype getting the most support and highest rarity is going to be Armed Dragons. Starting with Armed Dragon Flash being our secret rare, this card is basically the E-teleport of Armed Dragon level 3, and once you get Armed Dragon level 3 onto the field, it's basically one card to get you up to Armed Dragon level 10. As you guys can see, Armed Dragons are already extremely splashable as an archetype by only having to play 3 of this card, maybe 3 of Armed Dragon level 3 as well, and 1 of everything else to be able to get some pretty big boss monsters onto the field, or use those boss monsters or any of the cards in the level chain to be able to synchro Xyz or link up. Our next secret rare is Armed Dragon Thunder level 10. So this card's always treated as Armed Dragon level 10. Your opponent can never take control of this card. It cannot be destroyed by battle, and once per turn during your opponent's turn, as a quick effect, you can send 1 card from their hand to the graveyard, then target 1 other card on the field and destroy it. And if you do that, this card gains 1,000 attack. Now, if you're able to get this card up to 10,000 attack, you can destroy all other cards on the field. Next is Armed Dragon level 10 white. So you can banish cards on the field or graveyard whose levels add up exactly to 10 stars. And if this card's on the field, you can search a white veil from your deck to your hand. So I definitely recommend looking into some higher rarity white veils and possibly investing in that if you guys are interested in. Next is Armed Dragon Thunder level 7. So again, if you're able to get into Armed Dragon level 3, which you can with Armed Dragon level 3 or Armed Dragon Flash, you can easily get to this card. Probably the best effect that it has is that if it's sent to the graveyard by the activation of a dragon monster's effect, his effect being a dragon monster effect, you can add 1 Armed Dragon card from your deck to your hand. And again, it's an Armed Dragon card, so it can be any card within the archetype. Eldritch is our next legacy archetype, and first we are going to go over El Rey Conquista Eldritch, and this is the translation from the OCG, so this might not be the TCG translation, but this card is coming as a secret rare, and it requires 1 Eldritch monster and 1 level 5 or higher zombie monster. This card's name is Eldritch the Golden Lord while it's on the field. It cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects, and then you contribute 1 zombie monster, which includes this card, I believe, then target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls and take control of it, and also you cannot attack or activate its effects until the end of that turn, which does mean if it's a quick effect and you go into your opponent's turn or whatever the next turn is, you can activate that monster's effect later on. And you would get into that card with 7 Realms of the Golden Lord, and it is a fusion card, and honestly the only thing that matters is the fact that this card is now searchable, making it to where you might want to get into the fusion monster. This card is coming as an ultra rare, but I could see this card likely being played as a 1-of if it were to be played, so I don't see a lot of value going here. Next is Live Twin Lilitreat, and I don't know why this card is coming as an ultra rare. Really, the only thing it's good for is being another extender, so if you have a Kiss a Kill monster, you can special summon it from your hand, and the other effect is just extremely lackluster. I do not see a lot of value going to this card. Next is Dual Avatar Empowered Yugioh, and this card is coming as an ultra rare. Honestly, this card is actually pretty darn good, but Tool Avatar is not a good archetype overall as it is. So although this card is good, I don't see it having that much value because the overall archetype isn't great. Being able to pop a resource on your opponent's side of the field and being able to return all spell and traps to your opponent's hand while we are in a very big back row heavy format, I'd be interested to see if people figure out ways of using it. So overall, I am grading Legacy Support as a 3. As you guys can see, a lot of these scores are fairly mediocre. The Armed Dragon support is actually pretty darn good, having a lot of one-card combo facilitators, being very easy to splash into any deck. I think the Eldritch cards are very good. Now, the only problem is I don't really see these cards coming into the format really shaking up our meta all that much, which leads us into our next metric, which is impact to the meta format. So probably the best free agent cards is going to be the Link 5 monster and Pot of Prosperity. We have a lot of splashable engines in S-Force, Armed Dragons, and Spring Guns. So overall, I'm actually grading this as a 3.5, and this is taking into account future meta potential and current meta potential. There are going to be some cards that I feel will impact our meta immediately, like Pot of Prosperity, even throwing in that Super Poly target that I've talked about earlier in this video. And there's a lot of potential in terms of new engines that people can play test with and might see success in. Next is going to be collector value. It was leaked that we are going to be getting Trishula as a Starlight rare in this product. Trishula is definitely a fan favorite card. It's very recognized within Yu-Gi-Oh! As kind of like a meta card that has seen so much play throughout so many different formats, but I would have rather seen a card like Ash Blossom that people do play in hand traps in higher demand in multiple ofs. I feel that would have been a better choice, but I wouldn't underestimate the value that this card may hold as a Starlight rare. It's also worth noting that there's 4 other Starlight rares that we're going to be getting in this product, and we are getting a fan favorite archetype getting support, which is Armed Dragons. Many times nostalgia doesn't really see a lot of value in core sets and deck building sets. It's mostly going to be meta potential. So overall, I'm grading this as a 4. I think before knowing we were going to be getting Trishula, I would have graded this as a 3.5 because we know we're going to be getting Starlight rares. It's kind of cool that we're going to be getting new Armed Dragon support. So I feel Trishula puts this up to a 4. Next metric is reprint ratio selection. As always with core product, we're getting no reprints, which is a good thing because most of these cards are brand new coming into the TCG. So there's only one printing of each of these cards coming into our format. So the value will not be diluted yet, which is why I graded this as a 5 for reprint ratio selection. Our last metric is product value versus cost. As for all core product, the MSRP for a case is $1,149. And if you were to pre-order through the RDT Patreon, it would have cost about $630. If you're a brick and mortar, you could probably get this as low as $600 to like $640. Or if you just bought this online, you could probably buy this on average at like $690, $680. Now, what determines value for the most part is the chased after cards you're going to get and their ratios. Assuming an even distribution, there's no short prints, although we don't know that. And if you guys want to know the actual ratios, check out the RDT Patreon. But assuming an even distribution, you'd be seeing 2.4 of every single super rare per case, 3.4 of every ultra rare per case, 8.3 of every super, 23 of every common. I know it says rare, but that should say common, and 0.1 of every single Starlight, or seeing each different Starlight rare 1 out of every 10 cases. So really, this is always dependent on how many cards have high demand and really can be chased after. I really feel Pot of Disparity, maybe that fusion card, maybe the Link 5 monster, but there are not many high demand cards that I am anticipating aside from Pot of Prosperity, which is why I'm grading this as a 3.5 for product value versus cost. All right, guys, that ends all of our metrics for Blazing Vortex. Our final updated risk analysis score for Blazing Vortex came out to a 69.5%. Unfortunately, I feel a lot of cards coming in this product are fairly mediocre. Aside from a handful of cards, I don't feel there's many that can be played in virtually any deck as 3-ofs except for Pot of Prosperity. I do think there's a lot of good cards coming in this product. I think there's a lot of archetypes that have good potential as splashable engines that could see play in the future. But in terms of getting strong value out of the gate, I am a bit worried that most of the value is going to be going towards Pot of Prosperity, but we'll really have to see in terms of demand. Now, some things to consider looking at the OCG. Although the OCG and TCG are entirely different formats, currently we do have a lot of the same decks topping in the OCG that we do in the TCG, and I am not seeing any S-Force, Spring Guns, Armed Dragons, any of that type of stuff in their meta topping right now, which makes me believe that we will likely not be seeing that in the TCG as well. Also just based on what we know about our format and what these cards are looking like right now. Eldritch really is probably one of the better decks that does see great meta play that is getting some fairly decent support. Now on the flip side, looking at a product like Legendary Duelist Season 2, now I scored that product low, but not a lot of vendors bought into that product, so there wasn't a lot of supply in the marketplace. Although on paper this set might not look that great, I wonder how many vendors bought into this product for how bad Yu-Gi-Oh has been performing over the past several products. If not a lot of people bought into this product, the demand might meet whatever supply is actually out there, making some decent value from this product. So I think it is going to be interesting to see how this product actually shakes out once we hit market launch. That ends this updated risk analysis on Blazing Vortex. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. Do you guys actually think this is a really strong product and I'm missing it? Or do you feel it's fairly mediocre? I'd love to get your thoughts. Guys, if you enjoy content on modern Yu-Gi-Oh product, whether to invest, not invest, stop right now and subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any videos from me. Also, if you'd like to support this channel and if you enjoyed the video, stop right now and like this video. That helps the YouTube algorithm, helps people discover this channel, and that way we can help grow this channel together. Guys, don't forget, pre-orders are available on RogueDuelistTrade.com for Shipping Shields, which is the cardboard alternative to top loaders, being far more cost effective and an overall better product in my opinion. But thank you for stopping by, and I'll see you on the next video on Rogue Duelist Trade.